Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for February the 7th. We will try to stay on track today. We do have something at the very end after we adjourn, so we're going to try to stay within the agenda time period today. I'd like to start the meeting this morning with a prayer. Supervisor Trainer, can you lead us in prayer this morning, please?
Yes, let us pray. Our Father God in heaven, we come this morning, first of all, to say thank you. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here on this first Monday in February, Father, to do the business of the people of this county. Father, we just thank you for things as well as they are. Father, we realize and recognize there's a lot of things going on, but we just thank you, Lord, for just giving us another opportunity, oh Father, to do the things that you would have us to do. We ask in a mighty special way that you just continue to bless not only this county, but all the over 3,000 counties that are out there across America and all the elected officials that's trying to do what you would have us to do. Give us a spirit of cooperative and fellowship this morning, oh Lord, that whatever we make and whatever decisions we make will be pleasing in your sight. Give us all traveling grace to leave this meeting and go where we want to go and find things in order. In Jesus' name we pray. Let us all say together, amen.
Amen.
The next order of business is to approve the board orders. Have you had a chance there in your packet to read over them? Does anybody have any changes?
So moved.
Second.
I do have two things I'd like for you to look at that I would ask you. Well, three things. On number 5 and 6, this would have been in the meeting from the 18th. There needs to be a note in there. Attorney Roberts said pending detailed invoices, so that needs to be noted in there.
5 and 6 of page 1.
On
On
the
Second.
January
Okay.
18th meeting, number 5 and number 6,
Gotcha.
and when we were having that conversation, Attorney Roberts said pending detailed invoices needs to be. And then also I was going to ask, on the January 24th meeting, it says that the public hearing is February the 24th. Is that the correct date? And the reason I asked that is
Should
I
be.
thought we were doing it before a board meeting.
Should be
It's
21st.
21st, it should be 21st. Can we note that corrected, that should have said 21st? So February 21st, we will have a public hearing as well. That's what we're changing the note on for the redistricting. Any changes? Anybody else, anything in changes?
Yes, I have number 16 on the first board meeting is in reference to the Harris Road Bridge. Harris Road Bridge. It said that the balance of the LSDP funds, and it stops there, but I'd like to see more, that'd be more clear, instead of saying the balance of LSBP funds to be used on Harris Road Bridge, to be used on Harris Road Bridge. So we know for sure that the balance of those LSBP funds is going to be used on the Harris Road Bridge.
All right, we've got that corrected. Any additional changes? All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
With corrections?
With amendments.
It passes 5-0. Who do you need? Okay.
I made the
Trainer.
motion.
Trainer and
Montgomery, second, I'm sorry. All right, we now open the floor for citizen comment period. This is a time for any citizen to come up and speak. You have 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and speak? Yes, ma'am. Could you speak? Come on up. Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm sorry. Whomever. Yes, ma'am. Can you state your name?
Yes. My name's Dolores McCarroll.
Okay.
And I live on Blackjack Road, just below the entrance to Helix Apartments, and the cars are flying past my house. 60, 70 miles since they fixed the street. It's beautiful, and they're using it like an expressway. And I live right just as you pass the Helix there, and I can hardly get out fully. They're right on me. I looked Blackjack Road to see if something's coming. The next thing, they're right on me. And as well, when I'm going back, when I'm going into my driveway, they're right on my bumpers. Just as, because I can't put my light on, my signal on, until after I've passed the entrance to Helix because they will think I'm turning and they'll pull out on me. So it's a real situation there. And I just wondered if maybe we could have the speed bumpers or sign, or best thing would probably be to write tickets and have revenue, and they'd stop quick flying over there if they get a few tickets. But I don't know what.
Mr. President.
Yeah, state patrol there.
Yeah,
They got you right in the car.
They can put.
I have talked, I have had conversation with Ms. McCarroll in reference to that.
Okay.
And I've also had conversation with Mr. Clyde Pritchard in relation to that also. And there have been some concerns as to whether or not the speed could be reduced at that location anyway, from the present speed to a lower speed, say from,
Like the signs at all.
ma'am,
There's 20 and 30 out there, they don't pay any attention to that.
don't
at
pay
all.
any attention. And I've also talked to Mr. Clyde about other possibilities of how we reduce the speed. I don't know whether or not whether you could make a statement, Mr. Clyde, in regards to that, or do you need to come back to the board with a recommendation?
We're looking at it to see what we can do under our state aid guidelines and what have you, but I'd rather come back with a formal recommendation.
Recommendation.
Because if it was possible to put a sign there, the students can hardly get out of Helix. They sit there for the longest before they can come out. And especially if they're walking, so a sign would help everybody, it seems, involved. They would have to stop.
Yes, and that
That's
is in the
stop sign.
jurisdiction of the MSU police. That's the area that they patrol, just like in front of the horse park, they can write tickets for that area.
Yeah.
So that is an area that, we'll be glad to send an email and share your concern with the MSU Police Department and see if they can help patrol that area a little bit harder, because they do have jurisdiction over that area. Thank you,
Any help we could get, appreciate it.
thank you.
And we do have Mr. Clyde coming back with a recommendation to the board in terms of what can be done in that area. Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
Yes, sir, can you state your name, please, for the
My
board?
name is Marcus Bishop.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bishop.
I stay at 1036 Southgate Drive, District 5. I'm coming from the Boulder Zone because when it rains, all the water on the main street comes down to my property and it floods my backyard. And I've seen the water got up about 2 feet in my backyard. But I got a trench dug that it can come drain down to my property. But it's a ditch behind my house. I want to see the water, go all the way to the ditch so it won't flood my backyard.
Is that Southgate, is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am, that's Southgate.
I'm familiar with that situation
Yes,
too.
sir.
I hate to interrupt.
No, go ahead, absolutely.
But I've also had conversation with Mr. Bishop in regards to that and kind of bring you up to date on that situation. Right there in the front of Mr. Bishop's house, we put a cross drain on to make the water leave from the other side to go to his side. So in other words, we created the problem. In other words, if we didn't create the problem, it would have damaged the road because it would have flooded the road from the other water coming from the other side, would have flooded the road and damaged the road. So we did put a cross drain there. It helped the flow of water on the other side, but it didn't help Mr. Bishop's side, especially right there in front of his house. The cross drain itself is what's flooding his house out. And with what makes matters worse is that it's a downhill flow, and the water has nowhere to go from both sides. So the water on both sides is coming to his house and flooding his house out. So we did, because we created the problem, trying to protect the road, we did about 3 years ago, we tried to go in and release some of that water by making a short ditch, but the ditch didn't go far enough. it went far enough just to miss the foundation of his house, but it's still flooding the back of his yard out. So really the ditch need to be extended. In my opinion, the ditch need to be extended, but that's just an opinion. I think it's gonna be my recommendation that we, it's gonna be my motion, brother, that we allow our road manager to take a look at that situation, because we already been on that property. We already have done some work on that. My motion is to have the road manager look at that situation and come back with a recommendation to the board as to how we can fix that problem, because it is a problem that we created.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
The motion was Supervisor Williams had to have the road manager go out and look at the flooding issue on Southgate Drive, and come back with some type of resolution to the board. This is on private property, so we'll need all the details surrounding that.
Yeah.
There's a second by Supervisor Howard. Any additional questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 to let the supervisor go out, the road manager, Mr. Baggett, go out and take a look at that. Anybody else for citizen comment periods? If,
I'd like to.
go ahead, yes ma'am.
I'm Michelle Easterling from West Point, and I'm not sure if I don't want to turn my back to these nice folks.
Okay.
If it's okay, I may approach over here.
Sure.
But good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
I'm from West Point. I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge, Place 3. That election is November the 8th of this year. I am not running against Judge Howard or Judge Kitchens. I am running in Place 3 for the position that will be vacated once Judge Coleman retires at the end of the year. So I wanted to come today to speak to not only this board, but and I appreciate the opportunity, but I also wanted to speak to the citizens that were here, the concerned citizens. I have the experience, the leadership, and the integrity to serve as the next circuit court judge for Place 3. I'm trusted. I've been proven to be trustworthy in Clay County. I am the county attorney, the county prosecuting attorney, and I've been elected, I'm in my 3rd term there in Clay County. And I have served my people of Clay County faithfully, and I will serve the people of Oktibbeha County and this district in the other counties as well. I would like to let you know I've been practicing law for 23 years. I have served in my community, in my church. I'm going to go to the Episcopal Church of the Incarnation, and I've served other attorneys across the state of Mississippi, other communities across the state of Mississippi through volunteer service through the Mississippi Bar Association. I have 2 children. My husband and I, Thomas, have been married for 24 years. I have a 20-year-old son and a 17-year-old son, and I understand how important and difficult it can be to raise children in this district in this day and age. And I understand how important it is to have a safe community where businesses will come and locate in your areas, in your district, and where families can feel safe to live and work in this community. So I'll tell you that I've served as a Growth Alliance chairperson, and now we're all pulling in the same direction regionally. Just want to let you know that I understand that. Thank you for your consideration, your vote on November the 8th, and your prayers. Thank you
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Anyone else? You have 3 minutes as well to introduce yourself. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Since I'm here, I'm Mark Clyant.
Yes, sir.
And I'm also from West Point. I'm also running for circuit judge, Place 3, Judge Coleman's spot that he's retiring from. I've been practicing law 27 years. 20 years of that I've spent in public service. I've been part-time public defender for 6 years, part-time municipal prosecutor for 4 years, and now I've been municipal judge in West Point for 10 years. During my private practice and the time when I was public defender, I've tried jury trials in just about any kind of case that you can ask for, all the way up to a death penalty case. I've done that. My very first one of those was in 1999. Of course, obviously, whether you agree with the death penalty or you don't, those kind of cases happen in circuit court. And it's important to have somebody who has experience in all kinds of jury trials, all the way up to the most serious, which is a death penalty case. Y'all may or may not know, I know we've got this lady from the newspaper here, but I've tried 3 jury trials in Starkville in the last 12 months. I was on the news and in the paper last week, or 2 weeks ago. I have the most relevant experience for this job. Criminal work is the vast majority of what goes on in circuit court. I have judicial experience. I've tried jury cases. I have prosecutorial experience, and I'm asking for y'all's support and y'all's vote, and most importantly for your prayers. Thank you.
Repeat your name, please.
Mark.
I'm so sorry.
Your name?
Mark Clyde. There used to be Clyde Auto Parts in West Point, and that was some of my family.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Anyone else who would like to speak for 3 minutes? If not, we're going to move on to the assessment changes. Ms. Barbara?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard to approve the assessment changes. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Easy enough.
All right, we're off to a good start this morning. Mr. Tony, we're going to move now to County Court. The floor is yours.
I'm Tony Rook. I'm the clerk of the circuit court, and I can assure you I'm not running for the position of circuit court judge. All right, let's see.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for allowing me to appear before you this morning. The Honorable Judge Jim Kitchens wanted to be here, however, he had a schedule conflict. He's unable to make it. So I'm here representing the circuit court. I want to give you an update on our new county court situation. Some of you may have recently heard that the governor, and in fact 3 weeks ago today, signed a proclamation directing us to create a new county court. You may or may not have seen it. And the reason for the creation of this new county court is because the census data, latest census data, indicates that Oktibbeha County has exceeded a total population of 50,000. So by law, this is something that the county must do. We do not have a choice. Now, I probably need to explain to you in somewhat layman's terms. You probably have a question, what's a county court? How's county court different than any of these other courts? And I'll start with what we call the lower courts. Lower courts would be the Starkville Municipal Court or the Oktibbeha County Justice Court. Those are courts who primarily dispose of misdemeanor charges as well as traffic citations. They start the process of felony cases. However, they do not have the authority to finish felony cases. That's where they begin. Felony cases are finished in circuit court. County court will be in the middle of your lower courts and circuit court. So county court would be a court of record with jurisdiction to hear misdemeanor and felony cases. It also can hear civil cases with a jurisdictional maximum of up to $200,000. It also has jurisdiction over youth court, unless Ms. Livingston wants to keep youth court. You don't want to, okay. She don't want to keep us, I guess we get it. All right, so this basically falls between the lower courts and circuit court. And we expect the caseload to consist primarily of appeals from the Starkville Municipal Court, appeals from the Oktibbeha County Circuit Court, as well as civil cases under that $200,000 threshold. Anytime you create a court from scratch, which is what we'll be doing, you also must create personnel to run that court. And those personnel will consist of a county court judge. That judge is an elected official. The election will take place at the same time as the circuit court election, which would be this November. We currently have 3 candidates that are running, that have qualified. You must have a court reporter, a court administrator, a criminal clerk, civil clerk, and youth court clerk. Those are the minimum requirements to get a court up and running. So obviously that presents the county with multiple challenges. The first thing, and one reason I'm here, I want to make sure you're aware of this information as soon as possible. I don't want to wait until September or October to bring this to you. So we have to be thinking about a budget. We've got to create a budget to run this court. And you know, you have to hire the personnel. You've got to train personnel. And these employees have to be trained on court policies and procedures. You're also going to have new software that goes with youth court that we currently do not have in circuit court. So you also must train existing clerks on this new software, and also train existing clerks as a system of redundancy. Now there's the issue of office and courtroom space. The judges and I, circuit court judges, agree that county court must be held in the circuit court building. Now, we believe we can schedule the current circuit courtrooms to coexist with county court and youth court. However, we still must create space for staff, and that's one of the large challenges. And the judges and I have spoke in detail about this, and we all unanimously agree that it is critical for all personnel to be located under the same roof. So the purpose of me appearing today is to make sure that the board is aware of these needs and challenges of creating a new court. I know we're not going to come up with answers here today at the table, but I want to make you aware of it so that we can hopefully find necessary solutions as we move forward over the following days, weeks, and months. So if you'd like me to expand on any of that, I'll be happy to do so. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those as well.
I guess first and foremost, in other words, whoever gets elected,
Right.
do they hire the reporter, the admin, the youth court clerks, or do we need to do that beforehand?
The judge, whoever's elected, and we have no idea obviously who it's going to be, they would be responsible for hiring the court reporter and the court administrator. Now, I wish Rob Robertson were here.
He's on the phone.
He's on
Okay.
the phone.
There's a question, and we have time to figure this out. We do not know. The state may possibly pay for the court administrator. We just don't know at this time. My understanding is that the county would pay for the court reporter. So typically the judge makes the hire, the board approves the hire. And as far as the clerks are concerned, the clerk of the circuit court is also the clerk of the county court and youth court. So the circuit clerk hires employees to run this other operation, and then of course we bring that to the board for the board to approve. So the board approves the positions, and I understand that's all on the county's dime.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Rob, are you hearing this?
That is my understanding as well. I've got to check into it a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to. There's a way to get money from the state on some of this stuff.
Tell them to hold up just
Be able to get that funded, but my understanding of this is it does land on the counties in which we are able to do this. We are going to have a budget for it somehow.
Okay.
And the board, my understanding also is that the board sets the salary. There are two. The statute, and Mr. Robertson would have to obviously look at this, but one section of the statute, my interpretation says that the salary of a county court judge is $1,000 less than a circuit court judge. And I don't know if that's per year or per month, I don't know. But also in another section, it sounds like the board may set that, so I don't know what that would be, but it would be high. That would be a high
Most
salary.
counties do, the county court is lands, it's up to $1,000. It's a monthly deal, so it would be, I mean, they would need to be paid monthly, obviously, but they don't make quite as much as the circuit court judge. But I'd like to look at what the way Loudoun County does it to make sure we're kind of staying within the constraints there as well.
Okay.
So let me get this straight. The judge gets elected. They hire a reporter, court reporter, an administrator. But the youth court clerk and the circuit clerk, again, what was the other position besides that?
Youth court clerk, a criminal clerk for youth court, or excuse me, for county court.
Okay.
County court would have a criminal clerk and a civil clerk.
So it's a total of 6 new offices. Six
correct.
new spots.
Of 6 positions, yes, ma'am.
Civil clerk. I got you.
Can you expand on, good thing, just purchased a new building to help, because Ottawa County is busting its things everywhere. We have a lot of old spaces and things like that. So maybe this is good that you brought this to us now before we start relocating everybody permanently. But can you talk to about the statue, and you said all up underneath one roof, which obviously y'all would want to maybe stay in that building over there. What are the requirements legally as far as keeping all the documents and everything under one roof? So before we truly put people in different positions, we understand what the statute says and the legal requirements.
The clerk of the circuit court is the custodian of those court records. That same clerk is also the custodian of records when it comes to county court and youth court. Those records stay inside the current circuit court building in a vault. Those records do not leave that building. The custodian of court records, just like Ms. Livingston over here in Chancery Court, she makes sure her records do not leave her building. And there are a couple of reasons for that. If files leave the building, if office spaces are separated, that's a worst case scenario. And the reason is it increases the likelihood of losing or misplacing court files if you're habitually moving files back and forth. It increases the likelihood of accidentally damaging, tainting, destroying evidence, which goes without saying that absolutely cannot happen. You're going to have new employees learning new software, new policies and procedures. So those employees are going to need constant training and supervision. You can't constantly supervise if you have employees spread out in multiple buildings, especially if they are new employees. So those are some of the reasons that I spoke with the circuit judges, and we all agree it's imperative that we're located in the same building.
Do you have enough space over in circuit to be able to accommodate those additional personnel? Have you
No,
thought
sir.
about that?
No, sir. As Supervisor Miller stated, and I think we all know, I can't speak for the other departments, but from what I've seen, it seems like everybody's out of room. Everybody's out of space. And I realize that's an issue.
Well, I just think that, this is something new that we may have to, that we didn't know even after the building, we didn't realize that we were going to get the new appointment. So it may be something that we have to look at where county administration is, if they move somewhere else, if we keep it all up underneath one roof where we put them. And, we haven't permanently moved or done a officially board order on moving everybody around. So this is something to consider right now before we do relocate everybody to these buildings, because this is something new we weren't considering 2 months ago when we bought the new office space on Lynn Lane.
Well, this only came out 3 weeks ago. We knew it was coming.
Right.
And in fact, back when I was in municipal court, back around the year 2000, we started to talk about it because the census data was approaching that 50,000 number. We felt even very confident back then, and I believe the county did too, that as of 2010, the county was probably gonna be mandated for county court. I think we missed it by maybe 2,000 roughly. So we knew it was coming, but we didn't really know
Yeah.
until 3 weeks ago.
Right. Well, I think that was talking to some of the people that when the buildings were originally designed, that they thought that back wing, that the court would eventually go in there and that county administration would go under the 911 building. But if that's what this administration decides to do, I don't know. But I think that was the original thought process.
No,
Some of
it
the thought
wasn't.
process years ago. It
No,
wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Supervisor Trainer?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because I was here. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was not.
Madam President,
Yes, go ahead. Sure.
Just a little
one of the
backstory.
things that I think that we're gonna have to think about is twofold. One is gonna be a short-term solution possibly, and the next would be a more permanent solution. I don't know what that looks like. I certainly am not trying to suggest that I know what that looks like yet, but I would like to say that there is the possibility of being able to, because we still do have the property close enough to downtown to look at, and obviously it may take longer than a year to get this done, or it may take longer than a year and a half to get this done. The property that, the property that is located where the old hospital is, that is prime property to be able to continue the building process for admin, and we could use, and bear with me because this is a little bit convoluted how I'm fixing to put this, but we could use the current bond money that we have to start that process of building a admin building there, with the possibility of using the internet money that we get in every quarter. We could use that money to bond without raising taxes whatsoever, but that money has to be used, the internet money has to be used for road projects. So we can do somewhat of a swap on our bonding authority to try to get some of these solutions done. I don't suggest that obviously this solution doesn't need to come today, but I at least wanted to plant that seed that is potential for us to be able to have some money to get a building built without raising taxes. And I'll be quiet now because it may be hard to even understand what I'm saying with my voice like it is.
No, I appreciate you saying that. I think that's one thing that we need to consider, and before we allocate all the remaining funds that we have for the bond money, we know we built the building with it, we need to look at that, so.
Well, obviously, like I said, this is somewhat new, and I know that nobody expects answers today, but I do think it's important to bring it forward so that it's something we can all be thinking about as we try to find solutions. And also, it's important to note, I believe that most likely, I think this county court will be in operation in 12 months. I also believe that as far as the clerks are concerned, they would have to be hired and be trained. Obviously, before then, I don't know. We'll have to discuss that, but I would think maybe a 90-day window to get them trained, get them up and running. Multiple pieces of software they've got to learn in addition to all your policies and procedures. So that's something, if that helps with some of the needs.
And those are 3 clerks, if I'm seeing that correct.
Yes, sir.
Youth, criminal, and civil clerks,
Yes, sir. And then a court administrator, court reporter.
and the judge itself.
Right.
6 positions.
Yes, sir. And that's a minimum. That's a minimum for all county courts.
Well, have you talked with county administrator as it relates to what the board has been discussing?
Very
Plans for the county?
briefly before Christmas.
Did she give you any indication of what we were thinking about as it relates to the county court?
What I remember is that there was some discussions that possibly creating some, putting some personnel in Chancery Court.
Right. So that would be my suggestion, first of all, is to have some better communication with the county administrator, so you'll know about.
Yeah, all of us has a excellent working relationship with Ms. Farmer. She does a great job, and we would certainly be happy to work with her.
And Ms. Livingston too, because I think they have come up with a plan short term
Okay.
that would get us moving, and I think it's a very viable plan. So.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Can we get a motion to acknowledge that Tony Rook's report? Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor to acknowledge the report?
Aye.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Do you have questions on the work program that you wanted to talk about? While I was
Yeah.
here? Mention.
Yes, the garbage pickup. In other words, it's kind of fell out of I say our hands into the sheriff. And like Supervisor Trainer was saying, we're having a hard time keeping up with trash pickup. So legally, and I'm just asking this, in other words, youth, you know, non-violent of course, but like a youth, anyone that could qualify to work their fines off or what have you. I mean, I'm all ears to that. I know we need more boots on the ground to try to keep up with it.
We had an issue when I was at the city. You have had a lot of individuals who seemed to accumulate court fines, and they did not have the means to pay off those fines. And so we created a work program for those individuals. It was strictly a voluntary program. I do not remember the credit they got. I think it was equivalent to minimum wage, but they received credit for court fines. It was supervised by members of the Starkville Police Department. They would do such things such as washing cars, cleaning buildings, picking up trash on the street. And that was something that I actually implemented back over at the city. And I would have to go through my paperwork. I created forms, waivers. That's something now the sheriff's office would have to be right in the middle of this. That's something they would have to be willing to consider and be willing to supervise. But I would certainly be happy to go back and look through my documentation.
Yeah, just kind of get the framework.
Statutes, and I've got statutes in there. And now obviously, even if that's something that the sheriff would want to move forward with, he'd have to bring it to the board would have to approve it, have to be on the minutes. But I think that would be an option y'all may want to consider if you're having those issues.
Yeah, we are.
That would be wonderful if we could add more hands, because they're already doing it
Right.
in some form, you know, with the inmates. So that would be,
And individuals can reduce their fines. There are a lot of individuals that simply don't have the ability, and they may have potentially made some bad choices, but it gives them a chance to get fines off their record and help the county at the same time. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Mr.
I'll be
Board,
all.
if I may, I would suggest that you reach out to the Justice Court clerk as well.
Yes.
I think as far as people available to work on fines, you're gonna get probably 3 or 4 times as many from Justice Court as you will from Circuit.
Oh yeah, you're not going to get. I don't think Circuit Court would probably have anybody out there, because you have to be very careful because of the types of charges. But Captain Watson is absolutely correct. That would be something that would most likely be individuals going through Justice Court with misdemeanor charges.
Yeah.
Right.
And Ms. Sykes, your Justice Court clerk, worked under me over at the city, so she's familiar with that same program.
Old fines that have built up on them, et cetera,
Whatever you want it to be. Now, you may find we had a small issue that sometimes individuals would show up, and once they realized they had to actually work, then they quit showing up. But that's something that's why the Sheriff's Department had to be on top of it, to make sure individuals are properly supervised. But I think it's a great program. It worked really well, and we had individuals, we would literally write off several $100,000 worth of fines per year through that program.
we just have so much trash, and there's
Right.
just
And it just
such
keeps
disregard
recurring.
for people. I mean, they throw out so much trash. They just it's surprising the lack of pride that people has in their community anymore, and the way that they will just throw trash out the window. So we definitely, it's a problem. Even when you pick up a road, you know, they can go back after lunch and somebody's already thrown out trash before they come right back. So we definitely, it's an issue,
Okay.
we would like to get it worked on. So anything that you could send.
Yeah,
to us
I
would
would be
wonderful.
happy to begin that process, and at least find the documentation and turn it over to the board.
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
your time today.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Warner can't be here today, so Ms. Farmer's going to present to him.
He is needing a board order to accept a donated truck from Mississippi State University that he
Thank you.
would be
Thank you.
locating at the central, location. So we just need a board order.
Second that.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor that we accept the donated truck that will be located at Central Station.
What truck is that now?
I'm not for sure. It's one he had been in communications with them
It's
on.
not the one the city has, it's Station 4. Because the only fire truck they own is Engine 4.
Now, this one's
Good
coming
truck.
from Mississippi State.
Mississippi
I
State
don't know.
University.
Oh, well, I know Mississippi State owns that truck.
Okay,
Right.
I'm not for sure which one.
If that's the case, we got a good one.
Good. He couldn't make it, so he called me this morning. Also, he just want to remind you all of the pictures at 11 o'clock with the 2 new fire trucks we received, I think, 2 weeks ago, last week maybe.
11 o'clock today.
11 o'clock this
It's down
morning
here.
in front of the courthouse annex building.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you're next. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here with, my name is Thomas Onyata. I'm here with Angela. She's the president of the Master Gardeners program. I would like to start by thanking the board for all the support you give us as the extension office. We are very excited of the new workspace, and we are looking forward to moving to the
Yes,
new
yes.
workspace. Okay, the reason we are here this morning is the Master Gardeners program is one of the great volunteer programs we have at the extension office. Many hours of volunteer hours they give out. The way the program is, maybe Ms. Angela could just explain briefly how the program.
Yeah, it's the Master Gardener program is through Mississippi State Extension, and it's like he said, it's a volunteer program. We get trained how to be Master Gardeners, and in return, we volunteer 20 or more hours a year. And we keep a lot of gardens around town. I don't know if you've noticed, but at the Heritage Museum, the library, we do a lot of gardening work. Well, what we wanted to talk to you about was we created a memorial garden in front of this old building where the extension office is and the human service office is. And we just built it just a couple of years ago, and now that y'all are tearing down the building, we are hopeful that we can figure out a way to keep the garden even though you're tearing down the building. We don't know if that's possible or not, but we wanted to throw that idea out so maybe you could consider it when you're thinking about what you're going to put there once you tear down the building. And if it's not possible, of course, we would like enough heads up so that we could move as many of the plants and flowers, the brickwork that we laid down. We also have 2 greenhouses that are in the back of that building, and again, we understand we're going to have to move them, but any consideration that you could give us with we have our annual plant sale in May, so we're already putting things in those greenhouses, growing for our plant sale, and that money goes to horticulture students for a scholarship. So like I said, any consideration you have as to helping us find a place to move those greenhouses. We're also going to be talking to Mississippi State. I don't know if there's any room at the new location to move those greenhouses. They're small, they're not very big, but would it be possible for us to put those greenhouses at the new place?
How many of them is it?
It's 2.
How big are they?
One is 11 by 12 feet. The other one is 9 by 12 feet.
Yeah, they're not big.
120 square feet apiece.
Yeah. About as big as that table, really.
And then in addition to add on the memorial garden, okay, what happened is, okay, once the Master Gardeners, move on and go home, we used to plant a plant for everyone who has passed on, would plant a magnolia tree. But we realized, the place was filling really quick. So what we came up with is just a memorial garden where we do flowers, the ones for the season. Like now we have penises at the moment. It's a beautiful place. It's like a park. So probably one thing we could do, if you give us permission to leave it, because it's next to the courthouse and it's a nice setup, maybe we could get chairs maybe and turn it into a nice, beautiful park, a place for reflection.
Well, I think that we weren't aware of this until y'all came today, so I think this is something we definitely put on the agenda and see how we can work this out. Ms. Farmer, can get any information, get back to us, and I don't think that we have any plans to tear that building down before your plant sale. I don't think it's gonna happen that quickly, so I think that's all you know, we're safe in that area right now. We definitely want to work with you any way that we can. We don't know all the details yet till we get them. So, but we appreciate y'all bringing that to us and appreciate everything the Master Gardener program does.
Yeah.
You definitely, the Heritage Museum, that you do a really good job in that area. I haven't noticed so much the public library, I think maybe because of the traffic and stuff, but I will tell you that the box at the Heritage Museum is beautiful. Thank you. I need a motion and a second to acknowledge the report. Supervisor Montgomery, Supervisor Williams, seconded. Thank y'all so much. If you'll get us any additional information to Ms. Farmer, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We're going to move down to Mr. Hampton.
Excuse me, board. Can I get 2 minutes of the citizen comment period? I missed out on that. I apologize.
I'm sorry, sir.
I was on a conference call with my brigade. I'm in the military, and I missed it coming up. I just need 2 minutes. It's concerning the Southgate Drive, the 990 Southgate Drive. I'm sure my neighbor was here, Bishop, concerning the issue with the flooding in our area.
I motion to allow that, that time to do the presentation, because that's an extension of Mr. Bishop's report. So I motion to allow that time.
I just need board help in trying to get an extended, I guess, drainage to the creek that's already back there. I think we have halfway drainage on Bishop's property to get the drainage back to the creek to relieve all the flooding in his property and my property. There's no one else's property in our area that has so much flooding that's eroding our property and causing just terrible flooding in both his property and our property. So if we could get that drainage on his property to completely go back to the creek, it will relieve the issue of flooding in his land and our land.
Before you leave, maybe you can get the information to Mr. Baggett. We did a board order to address that, sir.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
No problem. Is Mr. Hampton here? Yes, sir. That's what I said.
Morning to the board.
Good morning.
Everyone else. I'm here today. Since last time I talked to you all, there's been some good things and been bad things. I had 6 family members with COVID. That part, good thing, I guess. Mr. Sampson Jackson at Preston, District 32, he retired. County attorney in Knoxville County, he replaced him. Both of those are relative. I guess that's the good part. But I'm here today to say that, to reinstate that Mr. Victor Collins had me do 3 projects for you all. The last one was on Maple Sturgis Road. 6 feet extension, box cover, 8 feet on the east side. That's been about 6 years, or 4 years, give or take. And I believe, if I remember correctly, road and bridge, major construction, is 5 years warranty. There was no spec there for me to have any warranty, but my work have lived to make specifications. Trucks go across, the schools go across it. Now, I live here. I need work like other people need. I mean, it's 5 board members here. It's other attorneys or whatever, other members here. Other people in the municipalities. They offer work. I work from Knoxville County. I started in Anderson, Indiana, working at Star Farm. I went from there to on highways where they building, bypass the building. From there to bridges. From there, Omaha, Nebraska. From there back to Meridian, Mississippi. From there to New Orleans, Mississippi. From here, moved back home. Knoxville County, I did 18 projects for them. Got water out of the building, in the school, water up in the school. I got the water out for them. I moved here about 18 years ago. I didn't come down to Aspen to work with any municipality until I had got myself back in tech. I have insurance, I have the license, and I have many different experiences on. I'm looking for municipality work, minor structures, and semi-major structures. I can do jobs from 1,000 to 50,000. I'm bondable. I have bonding capacity. I'm looking for work Also, if there's work much larger than what I can do, even down the road, that's Mr. Harold Guy, he does paving. It may be some concrete work on that job, or it may be some grassing on that job. I did grassing. I did a Columbus Outpost base for Valley Construction, 2 acres. I did an acre sod, an acre seeds and mulch. I put a maintenance on it for 3 months. There was no point to this for no engineer, no architect. I did my own point to this. I did work in Lake Okeechobee, down in the Meridian area. I did the seeds and mulches and the concrete on those jobs for general contractors. I did work locally all around. I haven't got this, did little residential work. Some people got me rated as just driveways. I have knowledge in construction. Now, hopefully, that if the Lord says so before this year, I'm gonna have certificate of responsibility license where I'll go joint venture and go for bigger jobs. But here in Okeechobee Hall County, there's enough work here to keep me busy. If you would take a look at me and the jobs, I don't believe in doing haphazard work. See, some people has a real bad misconception about me. I have an engineer mind, and when I say engineer mind, I have worked under engineers and architects. I know what to look at. Let's use for an example. Down at the fire station, going towards the college. Go down there and check the sidewalk. There's no engineer tell me I had to make it wheelchair accessible, but I made it wheelchair accessible. There's a retaining wall there. I did the wall. And as I'm saying, the job I did on Maple Sturgeon Road, you got log trucks going across. It ain't collapsed. I went back and checked it. I went and looked at it. I wanted to make sure that this job was holding, because I don't want to go front of the board talking to them about nothing. This job done collapse. The work I did for you all is holding, folks. That's all I want is a fair share. I live here, and let me say this. I used to hear Mr. George W. Bush say, no child will be left behind. But it's another thing, there's another thought you need to think about before that. If you leave the parent behind, the child is automatically left behind. It's automatic. This is going to say, I heard you pray this morning. I prayed a lot of praying yesterday. I led 2 prayers yesterday in the church. This is what I'm here today to say that I'm here for and what I'm representing. Hebrews 12:14. Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Mr. Montgomery, I live in Mr. Joe Williams district, been there about 18 years. I'm getting ready to move to yours. I lost some real estate over there. I'm getting ready to move to your district, so you're going to be my supervisor, I guess, come next year. So hopefully people that at least I can do some work for you all for the next 3 years anyway, hopefully. So y'all.
Do we have all your information? I mean, you know about the bidding process, and you're seeing this stuff when it does go out?
Yes, ma'am. I know that I can bid. You all can negotiate with me up to $5,000 legally without taking any other bids. Some of the municipalities don't do this, but if I remember reading the road and bridge, they got a traveling mansion out in Jackson we used to get. And even if you took one written bid, it used to be that you could get on the phone and call Yates, Mr. Bud Phillips Contractor. They could verbally give you a quote over the phone up to $15,000. But a lot of municipalities, they don't want that. They want to have 2 or 3. But even at that note, even if let me give you something else that put this in. You might be able to put this in your shirt pocket. If you got a job out there, let's say I work for Carson, N.L. Carson, Mr. Lee Carson. I've been to his function. I know them very well. If a large contractor bid a job, they're overhead. They'll bid a job for $70,000. I might do it for $50 because of my overhead. Also, I watch my job closer because I know if I make one mistake, it's going to be too wet to plow. So that's what makes me watch my job and want it to come out good, because if I don't get it good, I can't bounce back in that area. So that's one of the reasons why I go that route. And I had the opportunity to go big. I had the opportunity to be big. I've had people that offer me many different offers, but I just didn't want to get in there. Now, at this point, I'm kind of disappointed. I am. I moved here, and I moved here for better. I moved from Knoxville County. I moved from down there. I moved back there and spent 11 years and I shouldn't have did it. I mean, I kid you not, the workforce wasn't there for me. I lived in West Point for 4 or 5 years. I got a son that's graduated over there this year from Mississippi State. Jackson State. He went to school at Greenway. He fixing to go pro, in football. And it's just that I need to make a living like everybody else do. That's all I'm saying. I just need to make a living. And if I don't get to work, it's kind of like me and the child both are left behind. So I would appreciate if you all would look at giving me some work.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Mr. Hamilton built a bridge on Kennett Road too, and that bridge is doing good, Mr. Hamilton. You also built a bridge on Kennett Road.
Oh yeah, down going towards the lake. Yes,
right,
sir.
you
Yes,
built
sir.
that bridge, and it's still holding up, and it's doing good, Mr. Hamilton. We appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Mr. Hampton, have you gotten up with our road manager, Mr. Baggett?
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
Try to see if there's anything that he needs or.
We contact and we talk. I gave a quote on the job for under Mr. Baggett.
Okay.
We need a motion to accept. Mr. Hampton came before the board to request to be included in.
Thank you all.
In the bid.
Thank you.
Mr. Hampton.
Motion.
In bid,
I
in
made
the
a
bid
motion.
process. So got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery and a second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor with 5-0. All right, Pritchard Engineering, Mr. Clyde on the Poorhouse Road bids.
I did want to know whether or not that 5,000 was labor and material. We can do a job up to 5,000. Labor and material are just labor.
I think that's labor and materials. Scope of
Labor
work.
and material.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
I trust you've had a copy of the bid tabulation in your package. We received a low bid on Poorhouse Road repairs. This job essentially goes all the way from Highway 25 to Octop. End to end. Low bid by Falcon Construction in the amount of $1,595,441.79. State aid was at the reading. They're in agreement. Our recommendation is to accept the bid from Falcon Contracting for Poorhouse Road.
Motion for the recommendation.
Second.
Can you, let's see.
You satisfied with the bid amount that came out?
Absolutely.
Can't complain now.
Feel really good about it, to tell you the truth.
Enough said.
Do you have that paperwork? On the bids?
What's on the back right there?
Sorry.
Am I missing something there, Clyde? In other words, that number.
So the motion was made to accept the low bid, which was from Falcon Contracting, for the amount of $1,586,817.
Go to the
Second page. Because that includes the erosion.
Sorry. $1,595,441.79.
Correct.
We have a motion from Supervisor Trainer and a second from Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor to accept the low bid. Motion passes 5-0.
That said, I have a board order prepared by state aid that covers the engineering costs, 4% contingencies, et cetera. I need Ms. Sharon's signature and I need the president's signature.
Go over that again. I didn't get that. Go over that statement again, please. I'm sorry.
I just need, that's a board order to approve the contract and
On Falcon, for Falcon.
for Falcon contract.
Okay, yeah.
Is this the right state aid amount that we agreed on in the board orders last time?
It's rounded. Jerry Gilliland with state aid rounded it to the 318, whatever.
I just remember that we had some changes to increase it when it went up.
That's per the original program document, rounded.
Okay, so we never did change, and I'm just asking, because we changed some of these other program documents Do y'all remember later? And this one was one that we had asked that we included more of the state aid dollars in. Do y'all remember the board order we had was it 427
like
or
100
whatever it
like
was?
100,000 more, something to that tune, but
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It's per the original program document.
No, I know, but we, you know how you changed the other program documents not too long ago, made some modifications when we did with the state aid money. We had some discussion about changing this from the original one to match what the state aid money was allocated for the district. And we had a board order on that.
The day we had that meeting, that was when you left early, and the board, there's a board order in place giving him authorization to go ahead and submit it with the figures you had as of July.
The
If I
original,
recall correctly,
per the
July,
original program
August.
document.
That's what the board order stated. So whatever was submitted in July, August, it's one, July.
We actually submitted in May.
May.
We authorized, or we informed the board on July 15th that this project was ready to bid.
So that,
Okay, so I'm gonna sign this, but I'm gonna say also, we had discussions in the big boardroom and did a board order. This was before Harry Link James came, that we would change it to match the current amount that was allocated for the district in state aid funds. Do y'all not, we had a board order for that, to change that amount, to match the state aid dollars.
Well, the best thing to do is go back and find the board order then.
Okay.
I'm not gonna agree to
Yeah.
add that. We need to see the board order.
Well, FACM, the amount that FACM did is within the projected amount that was in the
It
program.
was actually 10% over the estimate we did in May,
10% over.
which is allowable by state aid. And again, we felt really good about that, given inflation, price increases, everything we've had.
Right.
We've talked to Falcon, they are anxious to start. If we sign this order today, we'll submit to them a contract, be in this green book to execute, come back with the bonds. I'll come back with the contract to you to actually signature the contract. And if we start all that process now, hopefully late March, we can put them under construction.
Yeah.
how long will it take them to do that, reckon?
It is a 90 workday contract.
I think Rob was trying to say.
I did, if I'm not mistaken, State Aid basically made the comment that the day that the second meeting we had, that, and I do remember what Board President saying, we did have a conversation about that in the big room, but he basically stated that there was no real distinction in the numbers when it was all said and done. It would all be about the same. Is that not correct, Clyde?
That's correct, and I'll remind the board, this takes advantage of $1 million legislation from House bill that's written on that order to do this work.
That's not my question. My question was that, and I don't mind signing this, but I know the other orders, some of the other orders were changed to match how state aid dollars grow. You know, and we had that discussion in the other room, and I don't mind signing this, but again, this goes back to use more for your money and less state aid money allocated to this project. Again.
So does the project move forward, or does it stay still?
Can we hold it, table it for 2 weeks and just see what the board orders say, the prior board orders? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
I say move forward with it.
Well, it's in her district. So
We already got a motion, second on the table.
One table, make a motion to table.
You want to table it?
Yeah, I make a motion to table it to see what the board order said before.
Well, don't you have to?
Well, you got a motion and a second.
You gotta.
Gotta
follow
carry it,
the
you gotta
first
carry the
motion.
motion and second first.
Unless the motion and the second are gonna rescind there.
I'll rescind mine. I mean, and I would do that in anybody's district. If it's in your district, and you're uncomfortable with it, I can wait 2 weeks. It's not in my area, so.
I made the motion.
I
Now, what
second
you
it.
can do, you can make she made another motion to delay it for 2 weeks. You second that one, so let's vote on that one whether we're gonna delay it for 2 weeks. And if that one does not pass, then we go back to the original motion.
I'm not,
Okay.
We got an original
we got
motion
an
on the
original
table.
motion that's
Yeah, but she
got-
made she making an amendment though. Then you got to vote on the amendment first.
Well, the motion
I
failed,
second.
the motion failed with lack of
However
second.
this board
Trainer
wanna
and
do.
Montgomery with a 5-0 vote. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So,
You gotta have a second.
well, ma'am, that's my interpretation of it. Now you're the chairperson, so you take it the way you want to take it.
I thought as chairperson that you could ask to table things. Is that not?
You can do that, but you have to have a motion.
Carry the motion, you gotta carry the motion, or either the motion dies for a lack of second. We'll
I'll
have
make
it
the
on
motion
that.
then that we table this matter.
Okay.
I'd like to second that.
Okay.
Just for
Carry
2 weeks. So look at the other board orders.
One other comment.
Hold up. Move the motion.
You gotta carry the
I
motion,
got a motion and a second.
you gotta carry it.
Call for the vote.
All in favor?
All opposed? All right, now, go ahead.
3-2.
I have a quick, so the original order that carried with 5-0 is not in place?
Null and void.
Now we tabled it.
Gotcha.
Table it.
Okay,
That's the bid, right?
yes, accepting the bid. So don't do an order on that one.
Do not accept.
And I'd do that for any of y'all.
No, don't do the order.
Final comment is, again, past today, we would probably award a contract in March. With delay, it's a 90-day deal,
Yep.
then you're awarding in April. That's May, June, July. You're all gonna be hollering to get done for football season.
Now, if you find that all the board order has changed,
about longer.
you do have to redo the program, don't you? You redo the
You've got
program.
a bid, you've got,
So that's gonna delay everything with the Poorhouse Road project.
It's just a piece of paper that, just like you brought today. And all I'm asking is, we had lengthy discussions about the amount of state aid dollars that went into this project, if you remember. And I can go back and research the meeting and send all this to you. And we made a motion during that meeting to change the board order then to match the allocated amount of state aid dollars. On here, it's 316. It was more than that at the time. And I'm trying to, I probably can find it on here. But we can move forward since we've already got the motion. Anything else, Mr. Pritchard?
I have one other item.
Okay.
In the prior board meeting, at my recommendation, you passed an order to contribute your LSBP funds to the Harris Road Bridge, which at that time was $673,601. Now, I have that revised program here. You have passed a board order to do that. So I'm prepared to move forward. But in the interim, with conversations with state aid, they have indicated that they do not mind funding the entire Harris Road Bridge with LSBP funds. Even though they are not currently available, they feel like by the time we go to construction, go to bid, they will be available. So I've also prepared a program to fully fund Harris Road Bridge with LSBP, if that's what you would like to do.
That's what we'd like to do.
The motion
That's my
is
motion.
the motion is to fully fund Harris Bridge with LSBP funds. The motion's made by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I will need, Rob, if you can hear me, I will need a new board order on Harris Road to fund it fully through LSBP funds. And here's a copy of the program document. I need signatures. Each one of you has to sign that. And Ms. Livingston.
When you think you can get started?
We've already started.
Harris Road.
We've started survey work, we've done boring work. The project already has a number, an LSBP assigned number. This just revises the program to fund it through LSBP as opposed to your county dollars.
Just for clarity, originally, we had to show some county dollars on this project.
You showed all county.
All county dollars. But that was just figuratively, right? We hadn't actually identified a pot of money that we were gonna use to show that. I mean, basically what, now they are saying they can accept the project showing all LSVP money.
Yeah,
No
they had to
county
have
money
something
whatsoever.
backing the
They
project.
had to have something showing. And that was just formality. We actually hadn't
Allocated any there.
You
I got
did
Yes,
you did
yes.
an initial program
Just
for
making
the
sure.
784, fully county funded,
Right.
without an allocation.
Yes.
And
Right.
the intent was to go ahead and get a project number assigned so we
Correct.
could start work.
Correct.
Yep.
And that's what I'm just making sure.
Correct.
That was just formality is what we did. Okay.
Okay, so we can go back to real quickly. This was back when we had the discussion. This is actually a text message from Harry Lee James. This was on 2/5/21, and the allocated balance for state aid at that point for the district should have been 427,726, and on here it says 316,800. So we do need to go back and look at those board orders, because we did actually do a board order on this to change the program document at a later meeting.
So that was in the big courtroom? Is that
It
what-
was, remember? It was in the big courtroom.
Vaguely.
I left the meeting that you left early,
Yeah.
told under order to do it per the original program. And that's what you have. So I'll inform Falcon that we're gonna be delayed here.
Listen, my concern with that is when you start clogging the stream downstream, that's backing everything else up. I don't want my project backed up because we keep delaying and putting off and clogging up downstream.
Your state aid and LSPP balances change daily. So, you know, at some point in time, you gotta say, here's what we're putting in and here's what we're
And
gonna do.
let's move. Let's take care of county business and move.
That being said, I'd like to make a motion that we allow Mr. Pritchard to go ahead and start making plans for us to utilize a portion on our county dollars for county work for reclaim, reseal, construction. Each supervisor that wants to get with him so we can put together a project that we can go ahead and bid using just county dollars only.
Now, is that your 4-year money, or are you talking about the
Bond money,
bond money?
bond money.
Okay, yeah.
I've got a list of projects ready to go.
Yeah, I looked at the 4-year road plan and I hadn't gotten anything done in my district.
So discussion about that, so we're gonna use that bond money. I thought we just talked about having to use that for court buildings and stuff. We're not going to?
Well, here's the
We're
thing.
gonna use that bond money for roads?
Well, here's the thing, the bond money, when I originally voted on it, was to put into each individual district. Now, I've had $1,000 used in District 1 this term. $1,000. I ain't got nothing done. So, I thought that was the mechanism. We've looked at every other mechanism in the world. The state aid, I've been cut off on Maven Sturgis Road. County Line Road, still waiting. It's just as bad or worse than Maven Sturgis Road. I got county roads galore that need work, that need to be paved, that need to be reclaimed, et cetera, it moves on down the line. Now, every time that we vote on something, and I didn't want to vote for a road bond, but I out of necessity voted for a road bond for the simple fact that what I just mentioned. But now here we go around, we're saying we're gonna use the road bond money on something else, on something different. So I will say this, I thought we had clarity in what the bond money was gonna be used for, and now it gets foggier and foggier. District 1 and 3 on the state aid dollars are gonna be left in the cold on that as well. I mean, Supervisor Howard had a great idea, thought out of the box on the bond money that we had available as to how to come up with not a perfect solution, but the best one available. I didn't even think of that. And we voted. No, we voted on it. But I'm just saying. What I'm saying is Supervisor Howard thankfully had the idea and the wherewithal, because we were going to be left either fighting over it or short, right? Because what's the balance now in the state aid? It was like
I think it
4.
was 4 something, and you was gonna
Okay.
get all of it, and we would give District 3 the equal
Out of-
amount
Right.
out of the bond.
And if he not
So
had the
that
thought
thing-
process of that, we'd have either had to split it or fight over it or whatever.
And
Or
that's still
somebody
in
to
place.
come, somebody
That's-
would have
that's
come up
over
and
with.
gone.
Yeah, that's still in
Lost.
place.
So the bond money's gonna have to be used on road projects.
And what Supervisor Montgomery is saying, and I see it, I mean, there are some districts getting road work done in their district. So it's a little easier for them to say, well, okay, let's take this and do some buildings with it. When there are some districts not getting road work done and not getting federal assistance on roads and having to try to do it through county dollars. I just think we do too much wishy-washy. We need to come up here, handle the county business and move forward. This is an indication we've had this project on the books forever and a day. And every time it approaches, let's set it back. Listen, my vote is to move. What Supervisor Miller left the meeting early. The board decided what they were gonna do. We gave him instructions to do it. He's presented it to us. And now we're saying, let's hold up. At some point, do what you said and let's move forward. I mean, that's just
Well,
bottom
Supervisor
line.
Howard, we already had a motion to change the program document. We
The,
already had a
the
board
final
order for
motion,
that.
the final motion was when you left the meeting, the final board order
But we
says
had
to
a, we
set.
had a board order
I'm
prior
talking
to
about
that.
what the final board order said.
How do you overrule another board order?
Easy. You just make another board order.
But now I thought you were holding your money for your road money for Maiden Sturgeon.
I'm having to, yeah.
Oh, I thought that's what you said at the beginning of the term. That's why you were gonna save
Well,
all
I've
that
got-
effort.
I've got to, because just like that gentleman right there said, just the worst road. I've got other roads that are bad. I've got other roads that have needs. But this road, it's a state aid road, through traffic, it is the greatest need.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, but now you could have been using some of that to work on Maven and Sturgis Road, but you decided, I thought, to hold it so you can get more money in order
Well,
to do.
because we are asking the state legislative body.
So that would entail, put you in the position that you're in by not having any work done in District 1. Am I not correct?
No, not,
Because you
I
could've-
mean, I got with Mr. Pritchard on the Maven Sturgis Road project, and the cheapest option with this DBST is about 1.6 million.
Right.
And between state aid and my county money, I've got about $970,000.
Well, I mean, we could have, well, nevertheless, but that's, my motion
Sure,
was to go ahead and give Mr. Pritchard, identify the projects, let Mr. Pritchard come up with a program, county program for us. And then we come back and decide if we're gonna move forward with it, bid it out.
Yeah. As long as that road project or the bond money is used for road projects, I'm fine with it.
And you still in agreement that we were gonna split the bond money evenly, right? Or has that
Yeah.
changed?
Minus.
That's the final, that's what we got.
Yeah, I think that's
the board order we
that's
got.
the fairest and the most equal way.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the
We just got
floor.
a motion.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, to
Second.
start working on road projects with the bond money.
Okay.
Got a second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
If you'd like to meet with me individually or me come to you to discuss your scope, I'll be happy to do that.
So you ready? Next meeting, I'd like to see us go to the next step.
Well, I'm ready.
'Cause
I
he-
can
he
holler at
ready.
you tomorrow. or
I'm ready.
You ready?
And I'll say again, we can do this as individual districts, but if your work is common,
Lump together.
we're doing
We
the
can-
same type stuff, if we could combine them in one project, you'd probably get more bang for your buck.
Question
We ain't gotta
on
call
that,
Harry
and
Lee,
I totally
Right,
see what
let's
you're
just do it.
asking or saying, but is a contractor gonna be able to handle the whole scope of that work? In other words, would it make sense to hire one to do the whole scope? Or would it make sense to hire maybe a couple of them to do?
I've got some insight when you come that I can share with you on some of that.
I'll be Tuesday.
I'm just about always gonna be to the point, if you can go to one contractor
It's
with an
better.
expanded scope, you'll get a better price
Yeah.
on your work, more bang for your buck.
And there's nothing that says that contractor can't sub out another to do what.
There'll be subcontractors
Sure.
in most cases. Are you aware on Maven Sturgis that we revised that estimate again at the request of the legislature to expand the scope.
I had heard discussion of that.
Well,
I'll get with you. I'll call you this afternoon and we'll schedule something maybe tomorrow morning.
That's happening.
You around tomorrow or Wednesday?
Thursday's gonna be
That's
better.
Thursday.
In relation, wait a minute, in relation to that, we have not accepted the revised 4-year road plan, yet, and that's required by law, that every year we do a revived 4-year road plan. And to ride the roads and sign a paper saying that we have rode the roads and all that. That's required by law. And we have not accepted a revived 4-year road plan yet. So until we do that, we really can't give Mr. Clyde the go-ahead. So first thing gotta happen first.
We need to get with him. Everybody needs to get with him between now and next meeting, and then we'll accept that road plan in the next board meeting.
Between now and next meeting.
I think we all have an idea of what we want to do, so we'll just bring it to the next meeting.
Right.
And we'll make sure we list all of those roads, or if you want to get it to Ms. Farmer ahead of time, she can actually list them on the agenda, so everybody already has them listed on the agenda. Any further discussion?
No, but I do want to say this, there seems to be a consensus that some people can fight projects in other districts tooth and nail, but then when it comes to what they want to do, they get all upset about somebody making a statement. So just remember that going forward. Don't fight projects in other districts tooth and nail, and then when the board want to move forward with project in another district, then we'll all upset about it. We can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
Thank you, Clyde. I'll holler at you. Thursday.
Clyde.
Thursday.
Were we ready to advertise Harold Road? We talked about that? No, not yet. Okay.
What's the
Okay.
hold up on that? Tell me what we got
Our
left.
current holdup is archives and history.
Okay.
So what do we need from them?
We've sent letters to them to respond to say that that site's okay for y'all to fix the bridge.
So Wildlife and Fisheries has
Wildlife and Fisheries has signed out, there had to be a wetland study, even though we're not requiring right of way, and now we're at archives.
Okay.
Okay, good enough.
And
Thank you.
checked on that last week.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
Mr. Baggett, we're ready for the road manager report, please. Thank you, Mr. Baggett. Everybody had the opportunity to read your road manager's report. Any questions or comments for Mr. Baggett, please? I can start from the chair. Mr. Baggett, I have just a couple of things. 3875 Sturgis West Point Road. I need a culvert for Ken Wilkerson. He bought some property, and he already said he has the flags up already for you. His cell phone number is 418-4050. I need a board order to put in a culvert on that new property.
So moved.
What's that address again?
Second.
3875 Sturgis West Point Road. The gentleman's name is Ken Wilkerson.
His number is, did you say 4051 or 4054?
I'm sorry, 418-4050.
Okay.
662-418-4050 is his cell phone number.
Okay.
And then also, right in front of the process.
We did the second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got a motion by
Montgomery Trainer.
Montgomery, second by Trainer. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Mr. Baggett, in front of the meat processing plant on Hamel Hill Road, probably where they're going in dumping that dumpster, it needs terrible repair right there. Can you get the gentleman to go, the road crew to go up there and see what needs to be done in front of that processing plant on Hamel Hill Road and fix the road?
Mm-hmm.
Those are my two things.
Hey, I got one thing is on Neely Road where the deer dumpster's at. Can the guys go with a backhoe and pick some of the stuff around that dumpster up? That's all I'll say. About a 400-pound hog on the ground right now.
I had one of those. While we're talking deer dumpsters, and this might need to wait until supervisor business, but we need to find another location to store those deer dumpsters during the off season. Where we've been storing them back over in District 3, they're sort of off on a dead end road, but people find out and they know now that that's where they're being stored at. So it just creates a landfill around those dumpsters. They fill the dumpsters up, and then they just start throwing trash around the dumpsters.
Peripherally, yeah.
So I would ask that the board find somewhere else and they not be stored in District 3 this time. And even moving forward, I'm gonna request that we not sit them around in the districts anymore. Maybe see if we can work with our deer processing people to see if they will allow us, maybe whatever. Attorney Robinson, you might have to look at the legal aspect of maybe compensating them or something, but at least moving those deer dumpsters, seeing if the deer processing people would allow us to put those dumpsters there and we can have them dumped there. But
Yes, sir. I'll check into it. There's also been, apparently, there's a couple of spots that, and I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a trailer that was broke down over on one of the, I think it was in Supervisor Trainer's district. It was a trailer that was broke down, and I think it's on some of the Bell property. And I don't know how the dumpster got put over there, but he called me about it and was asking, you know, who asked for it to be there and some things like that. But I think they're kind of, the family is kind of, I don't want to say they're upset, but apparently people are just dumping stuff everywhere, and it's creating a problem on their property. So we may just need to come up with a policy generically on a lot of this stuff with whatever advice y'all want to add in here, and I'll check and see what our parameters for this is as well.
Yeah, kind of expanding on what Supervisor Howard said, I talked to a couple of the deer processors, and they were both receptive to, you know, if we would maybe pay for those dumpsters during that time. Like I said, they probably gonna want a little compensation. But I said, you know, hey, if somebody's gonna bring the remains, that gives you a opportunity to do a little more business with them. And they were receptive, and I'm talking about Wilson and Sansing. Because I have had 2 dumpsters in my district. Longview Road, now the gentleman that bought the property, he doesn't want it there. And be quite honest with you, Neely Road has some houses being built on it. Next year, they don't want it there. So, you know, our county roadways are filling up with houses, and you know, it's just a real unpopular thing. But again, we've got to have a mechanism to dispose of that. If not, going down Longview Road this year, you know, people associate that there's a dumpster there. Well, there's no dumpster there. What do? They throw it where the dumpster used to be, or in the nearest creek, or the next nearest creek. And all 3 of those creeks had buzzards sitting on the, you know what I mean, on the perch right there. So we've got to come up with something. And like I said, Rob, you're the one legally what we can do to, I guess, have a different approach next year or this year, this fall.
I think the main issue is for us just to come up with a policy that y'all are comfortable with and go
to
from
Lewis,
there.
I think it was a lot of.
And I would one of individually, just to make certain that I'm on the same page with what you're thinking, and we'll come up with something. We've got a little time between, next year when we have to deal with some of this.
Okay. Thank you, Rod.
Anything else for Mr. Baggett?
Yes, sir.
Not, can we acknowledge his report?
Go ahead. You go
Sorry.
ahead.
121 Kelly Road, if you can get with Mr. Gibson on that bus turnaround, and need some attention.
Is that 121 Kelly Road?
121 Kelly Road,
School bus time.
school bus turnaround.
I want to go ahead and make a motion.
Kelly.
I want to go ahead and make a motion to authorize our road manager to locate an area to store the deer dumpsters.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, a second by Supervisor Montgomery to locate an area to store the deer dumpsters. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
How many dumpsters we got?
2 per, I think it's 2 in each district.
2 in each
I only
district.
have 1.
Any further discussion?
Could we turn them
from
upside down and off
For
season?
Mr. Baggett?
I
Do we
do.
get a motion to acknowledge his report?
I have some discussion.
Okay.
So, and I was looking through the report, and on the capitalization upgrade, is there a way, and I know, and I'm talking of Derek's crew, and they're there on Harris Road, and I see Albert Road.
Which page you will on there?
Oh, God, that's in the very back. Go to the back and come back.
I'm not
from the-
down on the bottom of the page.
It's 36. So I see, and I'm glad that we are doing things like that. And this may be our best bang for our buck. But I see like Harris Road is a mile, Albert Road's a little over half a mile. Could I, and I know like on our previous 4-year road plan years ago, and I'm talking about when Mr. Don was here, we kind of rotated on where, you know, that crew was at, and they would rotate. If I pick a project, do you think it'd be okay if Derek came into District 1 to do? There's a few short roads that I would love to see built up as well.
Yeah.
And I could use my 4-year road plan on that. I think we get a good bang for our buck on that. And I've got several small areas that I think in District 1, you know, trying to think outside the box that I can get with you in the next week or so.
Yeah.
I would love to see done this year, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I would love to do something over there, but
Yeah.
I was under the, you know, I was like, I thought the money was gonna be spent on,
Maven Sturgis.
I did.
Well, it's being held up right now.
Well,
And
we'll be
so-
glad to come over there.
Yeah, so I've got plenty of 4-year road plan money because I think Mr. Clyde's gonna change that Maven Sturgis, and so I'll get with you on, I'd say probably 4 or 5 little roads that I'd love to see done in my area. So that was it. If not, I'll make the motion to
I
accept
got something.
the road manager report.
I think that crew does a good job, a great job, in fact. So I'm wondering whether or not that crew, you have enough individuals to continue to do the type of service that they are offering. Would that crew expand in the future to more individuals?
Well, we have more, you know, more individuals that can run an excavator. It just depends on the size of the trees on the road and the power lines and all.
I get you.
Yeah.
If we're just pulling a tree, I mean, Derek, of course, is, you know, better one on that, but, cause he's done it so long, but we have other guys that can do it. Currently, the county has 3 excavators. I plan to put them all to work.
Last time, I believe, we rented, leased an excavator. A dozer, at least a dozer. If it come to that, would we lease an excavator to be able to move forward with some of the projects that are in need of being done for building up roads?
If the board was willing to, but like I stated, we have 3
I don't
Okay.
think there's a need to.
right now, but now
Yeah.
a finished dozer maybe, when that time comes. What we're trying to do right now is pull as many trees down, which is grubbing.
Yeah, what were those 2 roads last year? It was that we did. It's over there by where Miss Minnie Fox lived.
Was that last year before?
Prather and
Yeah, that was the last.
Theotis.
Yeah.
So, and I,
That was
you see what I'm
on
saying?
my
I-
4-year road plan. You can put it on your 4-year road plan.
Well, no, or I can use this crew like you've been using it for the last couple of years.
That's 4-year road plan.
I can use the crew like you've been using the
If
last.
you
That's
give
a
me
4-year road plan.
You give me the
Okay.
roads,
Then
I
I'll
mean,
do
I'll
it.
be.
Put it on your 4-year road plan.
We've done so well on time today, board. I want to appreciate y'all for just moving everything forward. Are there any further comments, or can we
Make
to
the
make a
motion,
motion to accept,
his
acknowledge?
report. Second.
We got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery to acknowledge the report, and second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Baggett.
Okay, can I have just two things? We have a bunch of steel I'd like to take to salvage. I've got 2 prices, one from West Point, one from Columbus. $725 from West Point, $750 from Columbus. I'd like to proceed with that.
Take it to the highest one.
Okay.
Either high, I mean, is West Point closer, in other words, the fuel
Yeah. it's
versus
gonna-
the,
Right.
you make that choice. But
Okay.
I made a motion to accept his report.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Accept the steel.
That motion to take the steel.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams I've already got you, John, for accepting the
John,
report. I got a motion by Supervisor Williams to accept taking the steel for recycle.
Second.
And got a second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Anything else?
Well, we didn't get bids on the 450s, the trucks. I'd like to rebid that. No one bidded on them.
I move we allow you to rebid the truck.
Second.
Okay,
Will we not get them through state contract, bro?
that's what the board wants to do.
Can we just try reverse auction to see what's the cheapest?
Yeah, last time we didn't get a price.
We didn't get a price. I
Whatever
just said
the
we get
board
let's
said.
purchase them on state contract.
And that's what I say, let's purchase them on state contract.
Yeah.
And, that, so we can have this equipment in here to keep rolling.
And I'd also like to make a motion, we go ahead and buy them 2 trucks from B.O.S. Diesel too.
Right.
Okay.
That was gonna be my second recommendation.
Okay,
Wait a minute.
Let's
Go
stick
back
with
to
the motions, y'all.
Okay, so the motion was to put out for bid 450 trucks.
No, to buy them on state contract.
State contract.
Oh, to buy them, excuse me, not put them out for bid, to buy them on state contract because we had done it once before on reverse auction, did not get any bids. And that was made by Supervisor Trainer and second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor for Mr. Baggett to come back or get that process started with Ms. Farmer and come back with to buy the trucks to us?
Yeah.
He made the motion, I seconded it.
Okay. Well, Trainer made the motion, Howard
Okay.
seconded it.
Okay.
All in favor? 5-0.
Second motion was to purchase 2 trucks from B.O.S. Diesel.
Second motion was,
Purchase those 2 trucks that were through reverse auction from B.O.S. Diesel.
the second motion was to purchase the 2 trucks that were bid in reverse auction from
B.O.S. Diesel.
Burroughs, B-U-R-R-O-U-G-H-S Diesel. They were the low bidder at $165.
Western Star.
And we did that through Southern Procurement reverse auction. Anything else?
Well, I'm glad that
Motion and
I'm on.
Motion,
Who motion?
motion Trainer,
Carry the motion.
And I second.
and Howard seconded. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay.
Well, I'm glad that we concluded that the grubbing is being done with a 4-year road plan. It's not just something that haphazardly being done and requesting work.
Ms.
It's
Livingston, do you have-
part of a 4-year road plan.
Okay. Ms. Livingston?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's part of a 4-year road plan.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a couple of things. The first thing is that we had no CD for the month of February.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery that we have no CD. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Second thing that I have is we did the depository bids and we got them in. So I would like to accept the bid from Citizen, which was the highest at 0.15% for 2 years. And then all other bids to use as our main depository for the county.
I do have a question on that, Ms. Livingston. So that was a 24-month CD? We pull it out early, what we looking like? You know what I mean?
That's the depository is where Delora's hitting that where we keep all of the county money.
But I'm saying, if something comes up in 6 months, is it okay to do we have access to that money? We're gonna pay it?
Well, we're not changing. The bank that currently had it got the highest interest, so it'll remain where it is. We won't be making any changes. We just had to bid it out again.
Okay.
And we're gonna do it for 2 years, so it just
Instead
stay
of
where
1
it
year.
is.
And we'll get more return for our money.
Yeah.
They didn't bid on 1 year.
On
They
that.
bid it for 2 years.
We did it for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years.
I'm saying if we need the money in 6 months, 8 months, are they gonna, I know how a CD is, you gotta borrow against that CD.
Well, this is just for the main depository account. Our main account, we pay the
Okay.
bills out of.
Okay.
So it's just staying where it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
no change.
Okay, so it's just a rolling.
It's
not
just a
the-
rolling
I was
account.
thinking of 2 different things. I'm
No.
thinking of the
Yeah.
COVID.
So the motion was to
Yeah.
sit for Citizens Bank
Citizen Bank.
for 2 years, and that was made by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, to do the CD there for 2 years. Go with Citizen Bank. All in favor? 5-0. Or anything else, Ms.
I
Livingston?
got a few more things.
Okay.
Well, I need another motion recommending that all the other additional banks for the depository of the county funds, which would be Bank Corp South, the First, and I think that's all that was done on that.
So, except the other ones as depositories, which is Bank First South and
Bank Corp South.
Bank Corp South
And the First.
and the First, which used to be, what bank?
Cadence.
Used to be Cadence.
And
Okay.
also, for Guarantee Bank.
And
also.
Guarantee Banking. Motion made by Trainer, Supervisor Howard seconded. All in favor? That passes 5-0.
All right, the next thing is to acknowledge the affidavit of publication that we did for the Courthouse Road bid.
Need to acknowledge
So
it. Motion by Supervisor
Second.
Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? 5-0. Acknowledge the publication.
The last thing, two more. Acknowledge the affidavit of publication for the depository county fund bids.
I need a motion to acknowledge the,
So
all
move
right,
on.
Supervisor Montgomery first, Trainer second. All in favor? Passes. Supervisor Howard, does that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, 5-0.
Yeah.
And the last thing I have is to acknowledge the affidavit of publication that we did for the overlay and road bed for Courthouse Road.
All right, you heard the motion. Motion made by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Just quickly, Mr. Baggett, Mary Ann from Waste Services said she needs that location as soon as possible before we're gonna put those deer dumpsters, cause they got it scheduled to start picking them up tomorrow, but she can probably hold up for just a little bit. But she needs that location as soon as possible.
Question real quick, and just a suggestion, and I'm thinking out of it. We got the central, we got A, B, and C shop. Could we put the dumpsters that are in that shop's area somewhere inside, and it would be secure? Inside?
It would be, I think they stink so bad, when they move them into those shops, cause they was at A shop one time, and they stink
I
so
know.
bad. Until.
Ain't nowhere they could just let them sit them open and.
I don't think it'd be a problem at night. All day empty.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm good, somewhere where people can't dump them, can't use them for.
Well, I think we can put them somewhere and turn them upside down so people cannot put stuff in them, so.
And that's good, but I'm gonna tell you what they gonna do, if they see a dumpster, they still, once they fill them up, they just start coming.
I mean, the dumpster
and
turned
throw
upside
it-
down.
Just throw the trash right next to the dumpster.
Putting them in the shops
Yeah,
ain't.
it ain't gonna help.
Yeah, cause it'll be on the lock and key most of the time.
Alright,
And I know they're gonna stink, but 100 pounds of line.
that may help, yeah.
Board
And
Captain
time.
Watson has something, if we can slip him in next.
Okay.
I want to come to y'all right quick and ask permission to apply for a grant. The fiscal year 2022 Homeland Security Grant Program has now become available. The grant deadline is April 1st. I want to go ahead and ask permission of y'all to apply for that grant. I'm not quite sure what we're going to put in for just yet. It's pretty wide open, so we need to narrow that down, but I do want to ask permission to apply for it.
Motion.
Motion by
to approve and
Supervisor
apply.
Montgomery, second by
Thank you.
Supervisor Williams to apply for the Homeland Security Grant from Captain Watson. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Ms. Farmer, and I won't be quiet.
Unless you all have any questions, President Miller and I discussed it, you have everything, so I can get just one board order. Unless you have specific questions for anything that I have listed, you can just, I can just say, this is what I have listed, and you all can approve it. If you have questions, then we can discuss it. But that would include payroll changes, ceasefire right-of-way, budget amendment for East October Volunteer Fire, budget amendment for the Sheriff Department, the payment to the credit card, and payment for the claim docket.
I'll make approval for items 1 through 6.
Well, I'll do
Second.
1 through 5.
Okay.
And then 6, I'm always a no. So can we do 1 through 5?
So
Would that be
1 through-
okay?
1 through 5, I'll amend
Okay.
that.
Supervisor
No.
Montgomery to approve consent on 1 through 5. I got a second by Supervisor
Mr.
Howard.
Barry.
All in favor? Then we need a motion on,
And then
for the
I have to-
dockets on 6.
I'll make a
I'm sorry.
motion for the docket.
Supervisor Montgomery's led that, and Supervisor Howard was the second on that. All in favor? 4-1 on that.
One more thing, I know we discussed the new building. I need a board order to bring in major designs
to look at demolishing that site. I'm gonna get with the gardeners and see if we can come up with something. And I'm saying that because I know we discussed the bond money and y'all allowing me to have some money to move forward with what we have in plan. Then I can better give you a balance as to what you would have.
What we got left.
So if it's okay with the board, I would like to at least bring in major designs to let them know what we're looking at when we're talking about demolishing that site, if that's okay with the board.
Does that need to be bid? Does that need to be bid out? Or are you talking
All the
about
professional
later?
services.
Well, they're just going, yeah, that's professional service.
And we
They're
need
just gonna
somebody
tell
to
us.
oversee that. It's an old building. Daryl and I talked about it, and I'm afraid there may be some asbestos.
No doubt, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need someone professional handling that.
Yeah, I'm just asking, do we have to do an RFQ? I'm asking,
No.
do we?
Not for professional service.
Not professional service.
Okay, so the motion is to bring in major design to oversee. Do we know what the cost of that would
That's what
be?
we're gonna do this for.
Okay, all right, so we can get a cost estimate on what it'll cost to bring the building down.
And then I have a balance on the bond money after we know what we're doing
Okay.
with that.
I'll make a motion.
Supervisor Montgomery made the motion. Supervisor Williams seconded the motion. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
That's all I have.
Okay. Rob, do you have anything over the phone?
Oh, going to
I
lunch.
have got 2 documents that I need the board president to sign off on.
Okay. I will. All right, I'll do that. Then I wanted to make, there's a, everybody received an email about the link meeting on February the 17th at 10:30, but we now have found out that that's not for everybody to attend.
Right.
So it's only going to be the president of the board to attend that link meeting, so I just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of that. We'll
And the
bring information
administrator.
back. And the administrator are the 2 people that will,
Just let us know what they say.
That's it.
okay. Under county business, the only thing I had brought to y'all, and just want y'all to think about this, is the site development permits. We talked about behind Heritage Colony, they're building a subdivision back there. But the way that our site development permits are right now, they're only doing 4 houses at a time, which, and they're not gonna make the road a county road. They're not gonna build it to standards to make it a county road. So just something to think about, because, you know, the roads going through that subdivision are gonna get severely torn up, but the way that it allows them to not say they're building an entire subdivision at one time, we might wanna go back and revisit that, just to protect, protection for the taxpayers for the other roads that are in the area. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
I agree, and just to expound on that site development, I think we need to have some discussion. I talked with Clyde about it some, and it's sort of a conflict of interest with Clyde being our engineer and also working for private developments and stuff. So he agreed that we need to sit down and have a conversation about our site development plans of action. So I think it'll be wise to try to do that pretty quick.
Okay, well, we'll in the future get that on an agenda where it doesn't look like maybe we have so much, but we just need to relook at that, because the way that it, you know, that was just our first one, but the way that it is, when you have somebody building a subdivision, even if they just go in and say they're doing 4 houses at a time, it doesn't put them in the same category as it does the other, even though they're building the entire subdivision. And, you know, the other thing too that's so concerning is, you know, right now, even with the loggers, we have something that protects the county kind of for the roads, for them if they damage them to go back and fix them. But, you know, when they're building subdivisions, you've got the same damage to the roads.
Yeah, and they're
Who was
hauling in and
motion
out.
Second on the docket, I'm sorry.
That was a motion.
Who you have on?
I made that first.
John and Marvell. Motion
I'm
by
the
John,
second.
second by Marvell.
Well, here's the thing, and that'd be a question for Rob, and I know we're in a hurry. Rob, in other words, see the legality of that, because in other words, in my district, for instance, Mr. Bobby Atkinson built out there up Old Highway 12. He built several houses, and he didn't want to bring those roads up to standard, but the houses went in. So I just have to see, you know, legally, how can we hold them to that, but I know that discussion's for another time.
Give me the data.
Okay, we'll stand adjourned until, we do have the public.
One
I'm
more
sorry.
motion. I'd
Okay.
like to make a motion that we enter into this contract for sale of surplus property with Thomas Auction for these items that indicated. It was in your packet.
Yeah, I did have one question on that, Supervisor Trainer. And it had those items in there.
Yeah, you can use that. Here you go.
Here it is, right here, I got it. In other words, I know, and this is, for instance, I just don't want to give away good equipment. This 05 F350,
05
it's number 7. Is that white, is that the one Mr. Don Kellum drove?
You mean the old one? The sheriff's department has the new one, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am,
new
the white one that Mr. Kellum
Yeah,
drove?
the
The
newest
very
one,
first one.
Okay.
The newest one the sheriff department got.
that guy's driving that picking up.
But this is the one he used to drive.
Yeah, that one on there, it won't run.
That was the one he used to drive way back when.
Those are good, that's a good model truck. I just didn't want
No,
Give that
we
away.
put a lot of money in it.
to, okay.
Now you won't be giving it away, not with these online offers.
No, sir, I
Yeah,
know.
man, it's gonna go.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I just,
You
whatever
won't be
we
giving it away.
sell, for instance,
It's gonna be good.
looking back now, I feel like we made a mistake, and I was part of it. I gotta take part of the blame, is that old grader that we had that would go out to the side. That was the cheapest way and the best way to make our roads look great. You know what I mean? The one that was offset, that Vic had set up. And man, we just gave it away, I think. I just don't wanna give anything away, but if it's giving you trouble, we'll get rid of it.
Oh, it's been sitting up for a year.
Okay. Well, that's not the one, I thought it was a different one, so you make the motion.
I made the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we sell the old equipment and take contract for
It's Thomas Auction.
Thomas Auction Company. There you go, Miss Barbara. All right, so the next meeting would be on the 21st, is that correct? Which is President's Day, and we have a public hearing that day too about the redistricting. But we were gonna start the meeting at 10 and do the public hearing start the meeting at 9 and do the public hearing, stop for that at 10 o'clock, is that correct?
That'll work right now.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn until
So moved.
February. I'm
Take
sorry.
the first motion through and then vote on the motion with the contract and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
It was.
didn't vote on it.
I made the
Oh,
motion.
you
You
voted?
didn't carry.
You
Trainer and Montgomery.
And Montgomery.
She didn't
and
carry.
Oh.
All in favor? 5-0. All right.
Now, we need a motion to stand adjourned until the 21st.
So moved. 9 AM on the 21st.
Yes, and then do the public hearing at 10. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank y'all.
And
Now,
Patrick-
pictures outside for the fire department.
Let's get that done quick, because I gotta be somewhere 11:15.
DeLewis, I meant to ask you, any update on the website, county website?
Yes, I'm working with City Club